you. You can attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. You can attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting and to speak to an item on the agenda. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township's YouTube page. And you can submit written comments to the Clerk's Division that will provide to council members and will form part of the public record. Before we begin, I'd like to take this moment to thank you all for attending tonight. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect. That we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public with respect and understanding. And inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. Together we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that is disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave the meeting. I think we all deserve respect for one another, even if we tend to disagree. And so I hope that we maintain that not only within this chambers, but within our community. I'd like to call the meeting to order for our approval of the agenda. Councilwoman, please.
Moved by myself and by Council Tilley that council adopt the July 7th, 2025 council meeting agenda as presented with the following addendum. 1, at correspondence received for item 7.5.1, report number PD 41-2025, consent and minor variance applications for 2026 regional road, file number B-0325 and A-0925. And 2, amend the recommendation resolution pertaining to item 13.2.3, CAO report number 18-2025, winter sidewalk and municipal parking lot maintenance program.
All those in favor? Excuse me. That's scary. Thank you. I'd now like to do the Indigenous acknowledgement. You all hear this acknowledgement all the time, and we must do too. And they're only words unless we put them into action. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And when I talked about respect before and differences of opinions, the Indigenous taught us respect. They welcomed us to this land. We created that. They taught us a lot about working with us and sharing the land with us. And let's all embrace that and come back to that way of life so that we can respect each other and still live and grow together. So let's pause and reflect. Thank you very much. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or genuine today? Seeing none. Can I have the adoption of minutes, please, Councillor Ossler?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Wilms, that council approve the following meeting minutes. 6.1, council meeting minutes dated May 26, 2025. 6.2, public planning council meeting minutes dated May 27, 2025. 6.3, council meeting minutes dated June 2nd, 2025. 6.4, council meeting minutes dated June 16th, 2025. And 6.5, public planning council meeting minutes dated June 17th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. It is my privilege tonight to do a presentation to honor the seniors of the Leo Award given by the province of Ontario to Jelena Palmer. Jelena, would you come up and take this the month of June is Seniors Month of Ontario, and I'd like to acknowledge and honor and celebrate on behalf of the Township Council the contributions and hard work that seniors have done all their lives to make North Dumfries a great place that it is today. Each year, the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility invite municipalities in Ontario with the opportunity to recognize an outstanding citizen after age 65 You swear you are always busy about, okay. Enriches the social, cultural, or civic life of the community. And I'm pleased to announce the Township Council has awarded the 2025 Seniors of the Year award to Janina Palmer. If you approach the podium, have a certificate to present to you on behalf of council. Congratulations, Lynn. Thank you. And I have a motion for that, Mr. Scartillo. Councilor Shelly. Do you have a-
There we go. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Moved by myself, second by Councilor Osmer, that presentation to Elena Palmer regarding to the 2025 Senior of the Year award be received.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Does anybody wish to, would lift anything from the consent agenda? Good, Councilor Olson?
Sorry, I'm just looking which,
Okay.
numbers are on here.
Yeah, the resolution from the Township of Woolwich regarding the rural speed strategy, resolution from the Township of Andano, Lindcock, and Braidland regarding inclusive research, resolution received from Northumberland County regarding procurement and advocacy for trade agreement exemptions, correspondence received from Jen Nyman regarding speed cameras, and at the advisory committees, the Leisure Lifestyle Advisory Committee meeting minutes, and the Grand River Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes.
I still don't understand why this isn't in order. We've jumped down to 12 now. That's why.
So,
Sure.
so, I got the, motion, please. Did I miss anything? Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Councilman, please.
Moved by myself by Councilor Oscar that the following reports as listed on the July 7th, 2025 consent agenda be received, their recommendations contained therein be approved and acted upon. 12.1.1 report number FT-07-2025. The Fire Department Incident Response Summary for June 2025. And the following information items as listed on the July 7th, 2025 consent agenda be received. 12.2.1 communications and correspondence. A, resolution received with Township of Woolwich regarding rural speed strategy. B, resolution received with Township of Brundinel, Lyndock, and Regland regarding inclusive research. C, resolution received from Northumberland County regarding procurement and advocacy for trade agreement exemptions. D, correspondence received from Jen Nyman regarding speed cameras. 12.2.2 advisory committees. A, Leisure and Lifestyle Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated March 19th, 2025. And B, Grand River Accessibility Advisory Committee, GRAC, meeting minutes dated May 22nd, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have report number PD 45-2025 zoning bylaw amendment for Rose Street, file number ZC-0125. Brock Letter, senior planner, will provide a presentation. Brock, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one moment. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Following presentation has been prepared to present planning staff's recommendation on zoning bylaw amendment application CC 0125 for the currently unaddressed parcel on Rose Street, located between the lots municipally addressed as 30 Rose Street and 70 Rose Street. The subject property is located on the west side of Rose Street, south of Piper Street, and north of Water Street in Urban Air. Property does not currently have an assigned municipal address. However, it is located between the lots municipally addressed as 30 Rose Street and 70 Rose Street. The property has a lot frontage of 18.2 meters onto Rose Street and is approximately 1,027 square meters in size. Property is currently vacant of development. Surrounding land use activities consist of rural residential, environmental, and agricultural. The property is currently split zone Z1 agricultural, Z4 urban residential, and Z4F or floodplain. The image on the slide before you shows a view of the subject property from Rose Street, with the approximate limits of the property illustrated with the red line. The images on this slide show two different aerial views of the property. As noted, the property is currently vacant of development and consists primarily of vacant land and scattered natural features at this time. The applicant is proposing to establish a new split zoning for the property to permit for the development of a new single detached dwelling. The proposed two-story dwelling will have a ground floor footprint of 232.47 square meters, with a secondary dwelling unit also proposed within the basement. The subject property is currently split zone, as previously noted, and the floodplain portion of the zoning has specific restrictions in regard to proposed structures within that floodplain designation. Due to this partial floodplain designation, technical reports were prepared and correspondence was had with Grand River Conservation Authority to more accurately determine the floodplain and the slope hazard limits. The completed studies defined the floodplain limits in greater detail and demonstrated that a proposed single detached dwelling can be constructed on the area that is confirmed to be outside of the floodplain. The map on this slide further represents the zoning classifications currently existing on the property. The yellow area represents the portion zoned Z4 urban residential. The orange area representing the portion zoned zone 4 residential floodplain. And the white area representing the area that is zoned zone 1 agriculture. The zoning bylaw amendment has therefore been submitted to establish a new split zoning for the property. Proposed split zoning is as represented on the map shown on this slide. The details include the area from the rear property line to the inland limit of the confirmed slope hazard is proposed to be zone 12 open space. And the remaining area which will encompass the proposed dwelling and the remaining area outside of the confirmed slope hazard will be zoned zone 4 urban residential. The displayed map that you see before you shows the proposed dwelling and its location on the area of the property, which will be rezoned to zone 4 urban residential. Further, on this side, you can see proposed building elevations that were submitted by the applicant. Photo on the top left is the front building elevation, which will face Rose Street. The photo on the bottom center of the slide shows the proposed side building elevation facing the Nip River. Some policies relating to the proposed development. Provincial policy statement encourages creation of communities through a diverse range of mixed and housing options. This includes permitting different housing types and densities. The PPS also promotes residential intensification and redevelopment within existing settlement areas such as AIR as a means to achieve complete communities and efficiently use land resources. PPS further encourages densities and land use patterns that promote efficient use of land, resources, and available infrastructure. The Township of North Dumfries official plan also encourages the creation of new dwelling units within built-up areas such as urban air through various means, including intensification and infill. That is, as long as the proposed development is compatible with surrounding land uses and that there are no significant infrastructure limitations. The official plan requires the township ensure that the proposed development supports the plan structure of the township, contributes to the communities with efficient development patterns and a mix of land uses, and respects the existing character of the established neighborhood. Public correspondence was received from the adjacent landowners at 70 Rose Street. The written correspondence expressed the following. They raised concerns with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, questioning its compliance with the township official plan, which prohibits new development below the floodplain without a two-zone floodplain policy framework. They also asked if such a framework exists. They expressed concern about the stormwater runoff from the proposed dwellings, rooftop and yards, as well as the driveway exacerbating groundwater flow and erosion issues, leading to damage in the basement and worsening of driveway condition. The residents were also concerned with the proposed dwelling scale, which they deemed to be incompatible with the surrounding bungalows and A-frame dwelling. They criticized the elevated rear walkout and suggested it should align with the lower foundation slab. And we're worried about the property becoming a rental property, which may impact the property's value. These were just a few images submitted by the residents of 70 Grove Street, highlighting some runoff on their driveway as a result of stormwater events and water flow draining down Rose Street, down Rose Street towards their property. And in response to public correspondence, we can confirm that the proposed development aligns with the North Dumfries Sufficient Plan sections, supported by submitted site-specific studies and discussion with the Grand River Conservation Authority, justifying the R4 residential within the area that is confirmed to not be floodplain, and zoning the area that has been confirmed to be floodplain as open space without the need for permission to amendment. The 55 square meter footprint in the Z4 floodplain zone only applies to accessory buildings, not dwellings, and rezoning the property to Z4 residential and Z12 open space reflects the updated site-specific data, removing the Z4 floodplain zone applicability in this case. Looking at build form, the proposed height of the building complies with the Z4's 12-meter limit, confirmed through technical studies. Viewed as a 3-story structure from the side and rear, however, viewed as a 2-story structure from the front from Rose Street, with vegetation minimizing any visual impacts. Looking at stormwater management, the revised drainage design from MTE included a swale which directed runoff to the Nif River, preventing a berm preventing right-of-way runoff, and regrading to eliminate drainage towards 70 Rose Street, which addressed runoff and erosion concerns. Looking at agency correspondence, the Township's Fire Department, Engineering and Public Works Department, Regional Waterloo, Grand Bridge Energy, and the Waterloo Region District School Board have stated they have no objections or concerns for the proposal. Canada Post stated that the delivery would be via the PO box at the Air Post Office. GRCA does not object to the zoning amendment. Assuming that the applicant is advised that permit will be required from GRCA for final grading, retaining walls, and new dwelling during the building permit stage. And Waterloo Catholic's District School Board has advised that any applicable education charges shall be collected prior to the issuance of building permit. The Township's Building Department also has no concern with the proposed rezoning. They have noted that a survey prepared by an Ontario land surveyor will be required at the building permit stage to confirm lot lines and the location of the proposed structure in accordance with zoning. The surveyor will also be required at the time to pin and certify the location of the foundation at the time of construction. Building permit drawings will be required to be reviewed and stamped by the geotechnical engineer in accordance with the submitted geotechnical report. And at various stages of construction, geotechnical review will be required and sign off through the Township's Building Department through construction of the foundation system. RJ Burnside, the Township's external engineer review consultant, provided the following comments on their first submission. They were concerned that the EIS should be reviewed further to confirm that the 10-meter core environmental feature was met. The buffer from such feature as required by the Township's official plan. The applicant also was asked to clarify if any buffer or enhancement plantings were proposed. And RJ Burnside also asked that the drainage within the Rose Street right of way be addressed in the applicant's revised submission. Through the applicant's revised submission, RJ Burnside has confirmed that their comments have now been addressed and they are satisfied with the zoning amendment moving forward. All comments received from internal departments and external agencies regarding the proposed zoning amendment have been successfully addressed by the applicant, and final clearances have been granted from internal departments and external agencies. The recommendation of staff to council is as follows, that report number 45/2025 be received, and that bylaw number 3575/2025 being a bylaw to further amend general zoning bylaw 689/83 to establish a split zoning for the property on Rose Street, known by roll number 3001-010-001-14505, Plan 663, Part Lot 1, RP 67R 178, Parts 1, 6, and 7, Part North River, or subject property, whereby the area, including the slope and floodplain, is rezoned to Zone 12 open space, and the remaining developable area of the lot is rezoned to Zone 4 urban residential be enacted, and that Township Council is satisfied with the requirements for a public meeting in accordance with subsection 34-17 of the Planning Act have been met. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak on this item? Also, if you're here tonight about a specific item, is that you sign the sheets at the table there so that we can follow up with that for further meetings? Any members of council have any questions? Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is through you to planning staff. With regards to our official plan, does this meet the test of 2.7.2E that new developments respect the scale, physical character, and context of established neighborhoods? Perhaps staff could comment on that.
Rob, please.
I guess my response to that, through you, Madam Mayor, would be that the applicant provided technical documentation showing how they calculated the height of the building and that it met zoning requirements. And due to the varying topography of the site and the slope, the property at 70 Rose Street is lower down in elevation. However, the property at 30 Rose Street is comparable in elevation, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just a matter of east topography causing some questions.
Councilwoman.
Madam Mayor, when I look at Rose Street on the street on the west side, Rose Street, this new development will be sandwiched in between an older bungalow and a new bungalow at 70. So I'm not sure what the context they're referring to is. If the only context we're looking at is the Z4 zoning, then that allows a 12-meter height. But our official plan is not clear because it says it's supposed to respect the scale of the neighborhood. So I'm just wondering, are we looking at the Rose Street neighborhood or just all Z4 neighborhoods in general?
CEO McNally.
So, Madam Mayor, through the council role, it's a combination of both. You would look at what is permitted as of right within the Z4 classification, remembering that the property was zoned Z4 flood fringe, which allowed building heights up to a maximum of 12 meters in height. The property on the average grade, built form post is 8.5 meters. So substantially below the 12-meter threshold, which is allowed today. The other is the definition of neighborhood. You don't necessarily look at the exact homes either side of the property, you look at the context of the broader neighborhood, which in this case, given its proximity to Piper Street, would form part of that assessment of a broader neighborhood, where comparable zones are also allowed. So in the context of the neighborhood setting, a 2-story residence with a street elevation approximately 8.5 meters in height is within the context of the broader neighborhood.
Councilwoman.
Madam Mayor, so just through you to the CAO, I guess the concern I have is as we see some of our older neighborhoods being re-urbanized, I'm concerned that we're going to see these large structures towering over the existing architecture. For example, on Piper Street. So I'm just wondering, what sort of protections do we have in place to prevent that, or are we just saying we have no protections whatsoever?
CEO McNally.
So, Madam Mayor, where we've done infill applications, in most cases, it's either required a minor variance or rezoning to facilitate the infill type situation. In all cases, we've actually lowered the height that's been allowed as of right in the parent zone. And in most cases, we've used a benchmark of 10 meters as an upper limit. Yes, there will be variances in heights across neighborhoods, but that's also creating part of the interest along a typical streetscape where you just don't have consistency from one home to another. So in some cases, variations of setback, height creates some of that animation of that landscape. So we are sympathetic to a height relationship, and as I've indicated, in most examples where we've had infill opportunities, we've actually gone with height for those infill residences below what the zone standard allows as a maximum.
Seeing no further questions, can I have the motion, please, Councillor Rossler?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Williams, that report number 45-2025 be received. And that bylaw number 3575-2025 being a bylaw to further amend general zoning bylaw 689-83 to establish a split zoning for the property on Rose Street municipally known by roll number 3001010001-14505 plan 663 part dot 1 RP 67R178 PTS parts 1, 6, and 7 part Neff River subject property, whereby the area including the slope and floodplain is rezoned to zone 12. Open space and the remaining developable area of the lot is rezoned to zone 4, urban residential be enacted, and that Township Council is satisfied that the requirements for a public meeting in accordance with subsection 3417 of the Planning Act have been met.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have 13.2.2, report number CAO 17/2025, request to retain professional services, major exterior rehabilitation to the Air Community Center located at 7 Church Street. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Any questions from council? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please? Councillor Williams, do you have the motion? Thank you.
Yes, I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rowland. A CA report number 17-2025 be received, and that staff be authorized to undertake a modified procurement to retain a roster of design professional service consultants, wherein a minimum of 3 quotes for service is secured to ensure a competitive bid process, and that the treasurer be directed to amend the 2025 capital budget and to establish an expenditure for professional services related to the major exterior rehabilitation for the Air Community Center in the amount of $175,000, and that the treasurer fund the expenditure for professional services from the ACC Facility Reserve account.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number CAO 18/2025, discussion paper on winter sidewalk and municipal parking lot maintenance program. Any members of the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, councillors?
Is it the winter maintenance?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Councillor, you asked a question. Okay, go ahead, councillor.
Sorry. Just a quick question on this. So. But reading the report, it appears that, it looks like it's gonna be less of a cost to, maintain it ourselves with buying equipment, etc., than it is to hire. And that takes into account the 3 staff members that need to be hired, the equipment, etc. It looks like I've read the numbers. I just don't know why, if it was so beneficial, why we didn't do it earlier. Like, are those numbers accurate or are they guesstimations?
CEO McNeely?
So Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Rossler. So those are the numbers that we've used are based on what we call 50 tours. Tours of the network, whether we're talking the sidewalk, or 50 tours of the municipal parking lots. And so using our smart salt product limits, And, looking at our square meters of both parking lot and sidewalk, we calculated the amount of salt that would be required to be applied based on those 52ers and that salt rate. Based on the market that we pay for treated salt on a per ton basis. Same thing on the wages for the seasonal contract personnel. Excuse me, an estimation on the fuel consumption for the vehicles. And then repairs, which is truly an estimate based on damage that might occur during operations. We do not have track record for the extent of repairs, but it is an estimate based on activity rates for winter related activity on both the sidewalk as well as parking lot systems. This past year, this past winter season, specifically that January to March period, was not a typical year in terms of frequency of snow events and volume of snow. If we had provided it in-house, we would have overshot these numbers just because the number of tours far exceeded that estimate of 50 tours in a year. We're confident with the figures, and essentially the variance between ourselves and the private sector would be their profit margin, as well as their insurance premium. There is no additional insurance premium for us to undertake it in-house because it's part of our corporate responsibilities. And we already have as a liability, the sidewalk and the parking lots from a liability perspective. So there's not that extra burden that a private contractor would have by adding our portfolio into their management systems. So from an operating perspective, we are comfortable with the operating costs based on 52ers in a season. We do have a one-time upfront capital cost estimated at approximately $220,000 to expand our fleet. That is a capital budget item outside of the operating. We're asking that council provide direction to allow us to make that expenditure as an amendment to a 2025 budget. In winter seasons 26, 27, and 28, we propose to take a portion of the savings that we've identified in the operating budget if we were to bring it in-house and repay back to the reserves that upfront expenditure of the $220,000 to buy the equipment. From that point thereon, we would actually use those funds to go toward the capital reserve to replace some of that winter rolling stock in future years in generally a 10-year life cycle. So that it, like the rest of our fleet, has the funds in reserves when those projects or replacement assets come up for renewal based on, generally speaking, a 10-year time horizon. We believe the model in-house would give us better coverage. It would be consistent with how we deploy resources on our road systems in terms of the availability of 2 shifts, as well as the depth of staff that are trained in using multiple pieces of equipment, so that if we exhaust one set of staff based on their running hours, we have a pool to backfill and deal with other aspects of the network, whether it's the parking lot, the roads, or the sidewalk.
Councillor Austin.
So the 3 additional employees for Public Works are going to be hired, but it could be anybody on the roads department that works, not specifically these 3 new 3 hires.
So, Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Oscar, that's correct. We're proposing to advertise for the additional 3 temporary seasonal contract employees with a requirement for a DZ license. And in theory, the pool of employees could be undertaking any aspect of winter maintenance, whether it be sidewalks, the parking lots, and or the road system. By having that pool gives us ultimate flexibility to respond to spike in the demands that might occur over a very, very short window of time.
Thank you.
I have Councillor Williams next, and then Councillor Williams and Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to staff. one of the items in the report was that there was difficulties in hiring people with the skill set that that the contractor was looking for. How would we make sure that we don't have the similar difficulties in hiring people?
McNally.
So Madam Mayor, to Councilor Wilms. Obviously, I don't know the hiring practices of Verdant and how they went about hiring people, what qualifications they were seeking, or when they went to the marketplace to fill the various positions. I can speak to the township and our past practices. We actually started advertising in early August. And we onboard in terms of offers letters in early September. And our winter seasonal staff typically have an early November start date. So it's a matter of getting into the marketplace early. We believe we offer competitive wages in the marketplace. And we believe that this is a desirable place to work.
Councilor Willoughby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is through either to the CAO or to the treasurer. I'm just curious how this impacts the special area levy. In the past, we've had a very defined contract, so we arrive at the numbers, we know what the levy is going to be. Now we're going to be commingling staff, either doing snow plowing or doing general roads, plus we have equipment that now is going to be mixed to general roads equipment, and also parks equipment, also doing snow plowing. So I just want to understand how the staff are going to arrive at the special area levy amount that's going to be charged to the residents of Air, or if this is a good time to abandon the special area levy and just roll it into general taxes.
Who would like to take this? CEO McNally.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councilor Rowland. Certainly for the first few years, we would actually continue to show it as a segregated budget item. Because that's the only way I can demonstrate to council that year over year, there's been a reduction in our expenditure, if I'm looking specifically at the sidewalks. And then there would be, I'll call lack of a better term, transfer to the capital in the first 3 years to show the reduction in the capital expenses that have been incurred or would be incurred in fiscal year 2025. So at least for the first 3 years, council would be able to see how we've set it up in the budget. And generally, all of those budget lines would continue. What would be added is a transfer to reserves, as I said, a portion of that net savings and applied against payment to the capital reserves.
Councilor Willoughby.
Madam Mayor, so in response to that, I'd just like to say that in the past, for our budgets, we used to track the wages of public works staff or rec staff based on which facility they're working on. But the past practice has been to move away from that and just put all the wages into an aggregate sum. So I'm wondering, are we going to go back then to tracking staff wages specifically for the sidewalk maintenance, or are we going to continue to put it all to one aggregate amount and then we're going to extrapolate the numbers out? Or what's, maybe Shelley could work through Shelley. Maybe Christina could comment on what process she's going to use to get these numbers for us.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councilor Rowland, all of our time sheets for all of our outside forces, whether it's recreation or public works, they actually track their time for the various business activities they do. Department heads are getting on a month-to-month basis what is actually occurring against various tasks, whether it be shouldering work, roadside cutting, brushing, whatever the case is. Same would apply for winter maintenance. We show in the budget for simplicity, the rolled up number of all of those accounts. So one is more how we track operating, what our time exposure is. The other is just for the simplicity of budget is rolled up of all of those accounts.
Seeing no further questions, there's some chairs up here, folks, in the front. Nobody wants to play the last one. Councillor Tilly, you were wanting the prize tonight. You think you have the longest motion?
Fantastic. Moved by myself, second by Councilor Osner, that CAO report number 18/2025 be received, and the township bring in-house and deliver the winter sidewalk and municipal parking lot maintenance program effective with the commencement of the 2025-26 winter season. And that the 2025 operating budget be amended to recognize the hiring of 3 additional seasonal full-time contract employees in the Public Works Division. And that the 2025 budget capital be amended to facilitate the acquisition of a roster of equipment associated with the deliver of this winter sidewalk and parking lot maintenance program in the amount of $220,000. And that the 2026 allowance in the 10-year capital forecast 2025 to 2034 be amended by moving to the 2025 to purchase of the replacement utility tractor in the leisure and community service in the amount of $71,000 and funded from the recreation rolling stock reserve. And that the treasurer is authorized to fund the capital acquisition for the roster of the winter maintenance equipment from the bids. And that over the 2026 to 2028 time period, the funds drawn from reserves will be replenished from the operating budget annually on expenditures associated with the winter maintenance of sidewalks and parking lots, except the replacement of the utility tractor and leisure and community services. And then upon delivery of the replacement utility tractor, that the asset be declared surplus and the staff are authorized to sell the tractor with net proceeds to be transferred to the recreation rolling stock reserve account. And that the Vernon DVM Incorporated be advised that the township is providing notice in accordance with section 3.9.2 of the contract for winter sidewalk and parking lot maintenance 2024-2025 to the 2026-2027. And that their services are no longer be required and the township is terminating the contract for 30 days written notice.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have report number 2025 asset management plan, 2025 updates. Any members of the public have any questions? Any members of council, questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please, Councillor Roman?
Excuse me, sorry, I didn't get my hand up fast enough. I do have. a
I'm
question.
sorry, Councillor Williams, go ahead.
Thank you. Pardon me. I have two questions. One is with regards to that it doesn't include Riverside Park, the asset management plan. So I was wondering if that was an oversight. So it's just question one to staff, I guess.
Theo McNeely?
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Williams. At this point in time, we don't have any assets at Riverside Park. So we don't have a replacement of a play structure or a climbing apparatus as an example. We just have grass that we cut.
Your next question, Councillor Williams.
Yes, my next question was with regards to the Roseville Community Center. So it was listed in good condition. I did notice that there were some cracks in the foundations, and I was just wondering if that was like particularly by the garden area in the front where there's that little bell thing, and also on the other side where there's the garbage cans often are. And I was just wondering if that was something that was included in this review.
Theo McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Williams. The township in 2023 with the report concluded year-end 23 and into early 24 obtained Scion, who did the facility condition assessment on each of our buildings, including the Roseville Community Center. They have identified the need to do certain pieces of work over the next 10-year horizon. I apologize, I can't recall exactly what was identified in the forecast specific to the Roseville Community Center, but generally speaking, they identified the building to be in good condition. The township in era 2011, 2012 invested quite a bit of money into the Roseville Community Center in preparation for the plowing match, and certainly that made a significant improvement in terms of the lifestyle aspects for that building.
Seeing no further questions, Councillor Williams.
Moved by myself and by Councillor Williams that FIN report number 13-2025 be received and that council adopts the updated asset management plan 2025 dated June 30th, 2025, subject to minor revisions made by the Treasurer, Director of Corporate Services, approved by the Chief Administrative Officer, and the 2025 asset management plan as updated be published on the township website and a copy forwarded through the provinces as well asset management office in accordance with the applicable provisions of Ontario Regulations 588-17.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Next, we have report number clerk 09/2025, records retention. Any member of the public wish to speak on this? It's riveting. Any members of council wish to speak on this? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, Councillor Osner?
Move by myself, second by Councillor Tilly, that CLK report number 09-2025 be received. And that bylaw number 3574-25 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2910-17. And to provide for the classification, retention, and destruction of records in the Township of North Dumfries be enacted.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Next, we have report number clerk 10/2025, local government week, public engagement initiatives, October 2025. Any members of the public wish to speak? Any members of council? I'd like to state that I have had the privilege over the last 2 years to go to the schools. And just last month, oh, we've got to run away. Just last month, I actually had a few students declared police officers in Cedar Creek School. They were allowed to make arrests, mostly to teachers. And I had a judge come in and they saw an actual trial and saw justice being done. I also visited 6 classrooms with actually another counselor from Kitchener discussing government, and they were allowed to quiz us, and they were quite intelligent. So it is alive and well. These are interesting suggestions, and maybe council will look into it at some point and discuss what further they'd like to do. I beg your pardon? Councillor Williams, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just gonna say that I just love these ideas. And I second what the mayor is saying. The kids, my son's grade 6 class went to a Brant County Council at one point. They got to sit in the chambers, they got to elect themselves as mayors and councilors, and they had a grand time. So this is just a great idea, and it's wonderful to try to get more people interested and those kids involved.
So maybe at some point we'll sit down and do a little brainstorming and we'd like to engage with the, especially grade 6 video into. Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Williams?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Williman, that CLK report number 10-2025 be received, and that council endorse staff undertaking a public engagement initiative on behalf of the township to promote local government week in October 2025, and that staff work with local schools and area to determine what, if any, engagement strategies the schools would be interested in and available to participate in to recognize local government week in October 2025.
All those in favor? Harry, just a quick question, Councillor Williams, when did your child, was it October? Because here they did it April.
It was sometime in the fall. I don't remember exactly when, but they did a whole like study on local government, and then they went to and experienced it and themselves. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because here they did it in April, but we'll clarify that with the school board. Thank you. I said all in favor, right? Good. Next is 13.2.7, report number rec 24/2025, Awareness Rubber Duck Race and Children's Tractor Pull, Saturday, August 16, 2025. Any member of the public have any questions? Any members of council? What's a children's tractor?
The tractors used to see at the Paris Fair, they went through the bales of hay, pedaled it, right? That's what we have. We have 2 of them. We have been able to come up with, and just something else. It's all free, something else for the kids to do, right?
Could the councilors get on it and have a race?
Well, that's pretty, and a bigger tractor.
Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Tilly?
Move by myself, second by Councillor Osmer, the report number REC 24-2025 be received, and that bylaw 3572-25 being a bylaw to temporarily to close the following streets as follows: to accommodate the Kiwanis Rubber Duck Race and associated activities on Saturday, August 16th, 2025 be enacted. 1 Stanley Street and Piper Street between Northumberland Street to 29 Piper Street for the hours of 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And 2 Tannery Street between Stanley Street and 10th Street for the hours of 9 AM to 1 PM to accommodate the Kiwanis Children's Tractor Pull. And that council grant an exemption to noise bylaw number 3421-23 for outdoor amplified music and or sound to be permitted for the event located at Tannery Street and the Piper Street Bridge area for Saturday, August 16, 2025 from 9 AM to 1 PM, subject to the following. The operators of the event shall notify all residential property owners located on Tannery Street and all business owners located on the west side of Northumberland between Gibson and Stanley Street, and the business owners on Stanley Street from Northumberland Street and the Piper Street Bridge to the hours of the event, including hours of amplified outdoor sound and or music by no later than July 31st, 2025.
All those in favor? And I had to send my apologies, I will be in
Get it done.
Thank you. I'll give you my tickets.
Literally in the back there.
Richard, consider myself noticed.
Okay.
That's it.
Correspondence items for action. Correspondence received from Ministry of Rural Affairs regarding a newly expanded Rural Ontario Development ROD program. Any questions from the public? Any questions from council? Can I have the motion, please? Council Rowland. Oh, Council Tilly, that was the second largest motion that you had.
Okay.
Council Rowland.
Appreciate it.
The largest one.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Tilly, that correspondence for the Minister of Rural Affairs regarding the Rural Ontario Development or the ROD program be received.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.
It's good.
The ROD program.
They gave it to you because it's the rod.
That's right. It wasn't called the NIM.
Okay. Nothing from the mayors, we have planning starting at 7, so we won't go into closed, we will just. We can do it the bylaws. We can do it the bylaws, that's true, so we will go to. This is the bylaws, a number, 19 bylaws.
Meetings.
Okay. Councillor Tilly.
Hello.
The third largest motion.
So, Madam Mayor, can I just clarify, would be able
Yes.
to deal with all the bylaws, save and accept the confirmatory bylaw?
Yes. Move myself, second by Councilor Reynolds, that the final bylaws be read a first and second time. 19.1 bylaw number 3572-25 being a bylaw to temporarily close certain streets on Saturday, August 16th, 2025. Bylaw 19.2, bylaw number 3574-25 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2910-17 and to provide for the classification, retention and destruction of records in the township of North Dumfries. 19.3, bylaw number 3575-25 being a bylaw to further amend general zoning bylaw 689-83 as amended for the township North Dumfries Rose Street. 19.4, bylaw number 3576-25 being a bylaw to assume municipal services in respect of registered plans 58M-662 Susan McDonald subdivision. Did we do that one?
All those in favor? Really, thank you. So we will just create the confirmatory bylaw. Yeah, thank you. All right. That's done. So we can't do the adjournment either, so we just have to. So folks, what would you like to do for 7 minutes? Anybody know what you?
Break.
Take a recess.
Yes, we have a break for 2 minutes. This goes with this.
Because he's.
It is now 7 p.m., so we will begin the committee of adjustment and the public meeting and hearing portion of the agenda. Councillor Williams, the motion please to sit as committee of adjustment.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Outner, that the council meeting adjourn at 7:00 p.m. to sit as committee of adjustment for the purposes of holding public meetings pursuant to the provisions of the Planning Act.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. I'd now like to call the meeting to order. Approval of the agenda, please, Councillor Terry. Look how short that one is. Councillor Terry.
We can do that too. Moved by myself, second by Rob Roman, that the committee adopt this July 7th, 2025 committee of adjustment agenda as presented.
All those in favor? Carrie. Join the council position. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest to general and together? Seeing none. Do. Any of, no, minutes of the previous meeting, please, Councillor Rowland.
Moved by myself, by Councillor Tilly, that committee of adjustment approve the following meeting minutes. Committee of adjustment meeting minutes dated May 27th, 2025, and committee of adjustment meeting minutes dated June 17th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carrie. Thank you. And 7.5 hearings, public meetings, minor variance and consent application at number 7.5.1, report number PV 41, 2025, consent and minor variance application for 2026 Reedsville Road, file number B 0325 and A 0925. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will record all persons who provide comments on this application and those who registered with the Clerk's Department to request a notice of the decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There's a sign-in sheet on the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those that wish future notice to this file. Brock Linklater, Senior Planner, will present this application. Brock, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following presentation is for consent application BO 325 and minor variance application AO 925 associated with the proposed lot severance at 2026 Reedsville Road. Purpose of this meeting is to provide an overview of the proposal, to solicit comments and identify issues or matters to be addressed by staff. Subject property is located within the Reedsville settlement area on the west side of Reedsville Road to the north of the intersection of Reedsville Road and Alps Road. The subject property is approximately 2 acres or 8,089 meters squared in size, with a corresponding lot frontage of approximately 193.9 feet or 59.13 meters on Reedsville Road. Property consists of a single attached residence on private servicing, as well as 2 accessory structures. Surrounding land use activities consist primarily of rural residential and agriculture uses. Property is currently zoned Zone 3 rural residential in General Zoning Bylaw 68983. And in the Township's official plan, the property is located within the Reedsville settlement area and is designated settlement area residential ancillary. The applicant is proposing to sever the property to create 1 new residential lot. The proposed severed lot currently contains an accessory building, which the owner is proposing to convert into a residential dwelling. The intended result of these applications by the applicant is to create a new residential lot, with the severed lot containing this proposed converted dwelling and the retained lot to contain the existing residential single detached dwelling. The owners are also seeking relief from provisions of the zoning bylaw with respect to the proposed severed lot. I'll get into that on the next slide. The proposed retained lot is situated at the north end of the subject property and is highlighted in red on the attached slide. The property will have an approximate lot area of 0.98 acres with a lot frontage of 41.6 meters or 136.5 feet on a Reedsville Road. Proposed severed lot, which is highlighted in blue, is situated at the south end of the subject property and will be approximately 1.02 acres in size with a lot frontage of 17.53 meters or 57.4 feet onto Reedsville Road. As previously noted, the owner is proposing to convert the existing accessory structure into a residential dwelling unit. The intended result of these applications by the applicant is to create a new residential lot with the dwelling contained within. The location of the accessory structure to be converted is highlighted in orange on this slide. Following minor variances are being requested for the severed lot permit for the proposed development. Section 8.3.2 of the zoning bylaw establishes that the minimum lot width shall be 30 meters. Whereas the applicant is seeking to create a lot width of 17.53 meters. Section 8.3.3 establishes that the minimum interior side yard setback shall be 2.4 meters for buildings that are greater than 1 story in height. Whereas the applicant is proposing a side yard setback of 1.43 meters from the existing 1.5 story building that is proposed to be converted to a residential dwelling. Section 8.3.6B requires that the minimum floor area for a 1.5 story building shall be 125 square meters, whereas the existing 1.5 story accessory structure to be converted into the dwelling has an approximate total floor area of 100.26 square meters. Section 8.3.6D establishes that the minimum ground floor area for residential buildings containing 1.5 stories or more shall not be less than 75 square meters. Whereas the ground floor area of the existing 1.5 story structure is approximately 56.64 square meters. And lastly, section 9.2.3A of the zoning bylaw establishes that an accessory building shall only be permitted in association with a principal residential dwelling on the lot. The applicant is seeking temporary relief from this provision to permit for the existing accessory building on the proposed separate lot to remain until such a time that this structure is converted into the principal residential dwelling on the lot. The image on the left of this slide shows a view of the proposed retained lot, which contains the existing single detached dwelling. The image on the right of the slide shows a view of the proposed severed lot from Reedsville Road. This lot contains the existing accessory structure, which will be converted to the principal or main residential dwelling on the separate portion of the lot. The image on the top left of the slide shows an elevation view of the existing accessory structure that is proposed to be converted. And the image on the bottom right of the slide shows a photo of the existing accessory structure as it currently stands. One piece of correspondence has been received from the adjacent property owners providing support for the proposed application. The owners noted that the owners own 2 properties in Reedsville and that they have done a great job at maintaining their properties and improving the boulevard along Alps Road. They expressed confidence that they will also maintain the new lot with the same care and provide support for the proposal. Any additional correspondence received this evening or prior to a recommendation report being brought forward will be included with the final recommendation. Looking at agency correspondence, there are no objections from the Township's Department, Engineering and Public Works Department, GRCA, or Region of Waterloo regarding this proposal. Canada Post has no objections to the proposal, but does note that mail delivery would be via the owner installed rural mailbox. And the Waterloo Catholic School Board has no objections to the proposal, but does note that any education charges shall be collected prior to the issuance of the building permit. We did receive some last minute agency correspondence from Archie Burnside, the Township's external engineering review consultant, who provided following comments in regard to the submitted applications and proposed development. These comments will be provided following this meeting for circulation. When Archie Burnside looked at the grading plan, they noted that this grading plan is insufficient and that their main concern is the new driveway location, which parallels the south property line and has potential to affect drainage patterns with the neighboring property. The grading plan also contains a note which notes that the proposed driveway is to match the existing grades, which does not alleviate their concerns, and that an elevation of 300.70 on the property line could lead to ponding. If sandy soils being relied upon for drainage, they would ask that this be stated by the designer in a revised plan. Looking at the hydrogeological study, the report adequately characterizes the groundwater table and flow direction and discusses potential impacts to surrounding private wells from the severance. The report, however, does not discuss potential impacts from the sewage system to the wetland and surface water features that are downstream. RD Burnside would ask that justification be provided for the 4-hour well test, as the MOE procedure D55 requires 6 hours. And the new water well will require sampling for all water quality parameters listed in Appendix A of the MOEE procedure D55 guideline for water assessment, not just nitrates. And they also looked at the side yard setback variance request and commented that the applicant may want to propose a larger setback distance to accommodate proposed setbacks to prevent future non-compliance. For example, if the building were to be resided, drawings show a 1 foot eve, which is presumably 1.13 meters from the property line. They understand that this may be a permitted side yard obstruction. However, that they do note that an eaves trough is recommended to prevent water sheeting onto the neighboring property. Additionally, consideration should be given for maintenance resulting from the reduced side yard setbacks, such as cleaning eaves trough within the reduced setback area without needing to encroach onto the neighboring property. And if the accessory buildings did be converted to residential, it'd be useful to have details whether any additional encroachments are required, such as the location of any proposed outdoor air conditioner, for example, and suggests that these encroachment items be prohibited on this side of the property. At this time, all comments and correspondence received from members of government agencies through the consultation process be returned to staff for a future report to the committee on the disposition of this matter. Staff will be considering matters for a future recommendation report to the committee, including all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process, whether the proposed variance resulting from the proposed severance meet criteria before tests of a minor variance as prescribed by the Planning Act, if the proposal in the opinion of staff is desirable for the property, and whether it will have a positive impact on the proposed development of surrounding properties as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bart. I believe Ed and Janet Hesley would like to speak. Welcome.
Good. Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Can you just raise it a little bit, Bob?
And everyone else, I'm Ed Huffman, and I'm here with my wife Janet, and you have my 2 daughters sitting in the back there. So just from a personal standpoint, I wanted to just let's say a few words in relation to our applications. We've lived in Reedsville for 30 years, and it was blessed to be able to raise our family in this wonderful hamlet, along with a spectacular group of neighbors who are also great friends. This severance application originated from the hope to provide the same type of opportunity for our children. The completion of the severance will allow us to finalize the sale of our retained lot in our family home to our daughter Erin, her husband Milad, and their family at a much more, well, we say affordable and maybe a manageable sale price. Although life circumstances are always uncertain, we plan to retain ownership of the planned severed lot for the foreseeable future, while converting the interior of the structure, which was built in 2017, into a residential unit on the parcel of land. Our hope is that through this process, the benefits we have enjoyed over the years in our family home within this wonderful community can be carried forward. And this proposal supports the long-range objective of both the township and the region to increase the quality and affordability of residents in settlement areas. So with that, either now or at any time, we're open to any questions that you may have, and I just want to say thanks for your consideration on behalf of the Pestilink family.
Thank you. Is any member of the public wish to speak on this application? Any questions from council? No, she's okay. Now seeing none, can I have a motion, please, Councillor Osley?
Moved by myself, seconded by Alita Wilms, so that PD report number 41-2025 be received. And then all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for consideration in a future report to the committee on the disposition of this matter.
All those in favor? Hearing, thank you. Next is 7.6.1, report number PD 42/2025, minor variance application for 24 Manley Street, file number A-08/25. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the Clerk's Department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There is a sign-in sheet on the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those that wish future notice regarding this file. Christina Blazanovic, Planner 1 GIS Technician, will present this application. Christina, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following presentations for minor variance application 808/25 for the property located at 24 Manley Street. The purpose of this meeting is to advance a recommendation for the committee's consideration on the merits of the application. The property is located on the north of the intersection of Manley Street and McDonald Street in the village of Ayr. The property consists of a two-story detached dwelling and accessory buildings. This property is approximately 1,964 square meters in size with a lot frontage of 22.50 meters onto Manley Street. Surrounding land uses are urban residential. The property is zoned Z4 urban residential and designated urban residential and ancillary in the township official plan. The purpose of the application is to facilitate the construction of a covered porch within the front yard of the subject property. The proposed covered porch structure will be attached to the front wall of the principal dwelling under the zoning bylaw. Under the zoning bylaw, the covered porch is considered part of the main building due to its physical connection to the dwelling. The proposed covered porch will have a footprint of approximately 3.52 meters by 1.98 meters in size, with a total area of approximately 6.970 square meters, as illustrated in the image on the screen. The proposed covered porch extends into the front yard setback, requiring a minor variance. The following minor variance is being requested. Section 6.10.1 establishes a building line of 6.25 meters for the subject property. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit a building line of 4.26 meters, a reduction of 1.9 meters. While the actual setback proposed is approximately 4.26 meters, we're recommending a variance to 4 meters to allow for a bit of flexibility to account for any minor construction adjustments. The image on the screen is a view from Manley Street. One neighboring resident has expressed support for the proposed application. There have been no concerns received from any commenting agencies. The building department has noted that a building permit will be required. Planning staff is of the opinion that the requested variances meet the four tests of a minor variance as a minor variance as outlined by the Planning Act. One, that the variance is minor in nature. The open design of the covered porch maintains sight lines, has no significant impact on adjacent properties, and is compatible with the surrounding area. Two, that the variance is desirable. The porch enhances the front entrance, providing shelter and improving the home's appearance, contributing to a cohesive streetscape. Three, that the variance meets the intent of the bylaw. While projecting into the front yard, the porch maintains separation from the street and upholds the intent of the front yard setback requirements. And four, that the variance meets the intent of the official plan. The property is designated urban residential and ancillary, and the porch complements the low density residential use and neighborhood character. Planning staff recommend that minor variance application 808/25 be approved.
Thank you, Christina. And as the applicant wish to make any comments? Any questions from the public? Any questions from council? Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Wilms?
Moved by myself, seconded by Ron Rolliman, that PD report number 42/2025 be received and that minor variance application A-08/25 being a request to permit a building line setback of 4 meters for the proposed covered porch, whereas section 6.10.1 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 establish a building line of 6.25 meters be approved.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have 7.6.2, report number PD 43/2025, minor variance application for part lot 7, concession 7 North Dumfries, parts 1-467R 2683 ST 145505 North Dumfries, file number A07/25. Notice has been given. Any of you know this off by heart with me, you can say it along loud. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the Clerk's Department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of this decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. Guess where the sign-in sheet is? The sign-in sheet is on the back table of the main room to complete for those who wish future notice related to this file. Christina Blazarovic, Planner 1 GIS Technician, will present this application. Christina, please.
Thank you, Madam. The following presentations for minor variance application A07/25 for a vacant parcel located at the corner of Maple Manor Road and Cheese Factory Road. The purpose of the meeting is to advance a recommendation for the committee's consideration of the merits of the application. As mentioned, the property is located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Maple Manor Road and Cheese Factory Road and is currently vacant. The property is approximately 2.4 hectares in size with a lot frontage of 126 meters onto Cheese Factory Road and 262 meters onto Maple Manor Road. Surrounding land uses are agricultural. The property is zoned Z1 agriculture, designated agricultural and protected countryside in the township of the floodplain. The purpose of the application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to permit a reduced minimum distance separation to facilitate the construction of a single detached dwelling on the vacant lot. A dairy barn situated on the adjacent parcel, municipally addressed as 1498 Cheese Factory Road, necessitates a minimum distance separation of 286 meters for the proposed dwelling. The majority of the property is regulated by the GRCA and includes floodplain at the rear. Due to these constraints, the dwelling is proposed to be closer to the road to avoid the floodplain and to allow adequate space for the required septic system, placing it within the required minimum distance of 286 meters. The following minor variances are being requested. Section 6.10.2 establishes a building line of 16 meters for the property. The owner seeks relief to permit a building line of 14 meters for Maple Manor Road for the proposed development. And 2, section 6.29.1 establishes a minimum distance setback of 286 meters. The owner seeks relief to permit a minimum distance separation of 273.26 meters, a reduction of 12.74 meters. Following the public meeting on June 17th, staff met with the neighboring farm owner to review the potential expansion plans. Based on sample calculations using the Manifest AgriSuite software, staff confirmed that the proposed location will not impact the farm's ability to meet future MDS2 setback requirements when they are ready to expand their operations. The image on the screen is the site plan illustrating the proposed development. The blue line along the southern property boundary represents the floodplain. To the north of the subject property is 1498 Cheese Factory Road, which contains the livestock facility that generates the MDS1 setback. The red circle indicates the required MDS1 setback radius, with the center point representing the closest point of the livestock building. As you can see, the proposed development is just within this required MDS distance. This image is a view of the subject property for Maple Manor Road and the proposed location of the dwelling. Other correspondence, as mentioned, staff have met with the adjacent farmer and have confirmed that the proposed application will not impact their ability to expand operations in the future. Agency correspondence, there have been no concerns received from commenting agencies. The building department has noted that a development agreement will be required to advise future owners of nearby farm activity. Planning staff is of the opinion that the requested variance meet the 4 tests of the minor variance as outlined by the Planning Act. The first being that the variance is minor in nature. The small reduction in setback is minor and won't negatively impact or affect the adjacent farm. Secondly, that the variance is desirable. The proposed dwelling provides a suitable rural residential use by optimizing buildable space, avoiding the floodplain area, and respecting the rural character of the area. 3, that the variance makes the intent of the bylaw. While the dwelling is about 13 meters closer than the required MDS1 setback, it remains adequately separated from livestock operations considering floodplain and septic system constraints. And 4, that the variance makes the intent of the official plan. The subject property is designated agricultural and supports rural residential development. The proposed dwelling on a vacant lot aligns with these policies. Planning staff recommend that minor variance application A07/25 be approved, subject to the condition listed in the recommendation section of PD report 43-2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And is the applicant here wishes to speak? So would you wish to speak?
No, that's okay.
Okay, any member of the public wish to speak? Any member of council wish to speak? Councillor Tilly, you have the second longest motion in
There you
place.
go. Good one.
Councillor Rowland will be leading you in the next motion.
That's right, all good. Moved by myself, second by Rod Roman, that PD report number 43/2025 be received and minor variation application A 07/2025 being a request of permit. A building line setback of 14 meters, whereas section 6.10.2 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 establishes a building line of 16 meters. B, a minimum distance separation MDS one setback of 273 meters, whereas section 6.29.1 of the general zoning bylaw number 689-83 requires a minimum distance separation MDS one setback of 286 meters, be approved subject to the following condition. That prior to the issuance of any building permits, confirmation that a development agreement has been registered on title at the applicant's expense to inform any future purchaser potential orders or sounds that may arise from the proximity of neighboring farms.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is 7.6.3, report number PD 44/2025, minor variance application for 6575 Gore Road, file number A-10/25. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the Clerk's Department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There is a sign-in sheet on the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those that wish future notice related to this file. Christine Glasnovic, Planner 1, GIS Technician, will present this application. Christine, please.
Thank you, minor variance. The following presentation is for minor variance application A-10/25 for the property located at 6575 Gore Road. The purpose of this report is to present a staff recommendation for the committee's consideration in conjunction with the statutory public meeting. Should any new concerns arise during the public meeting that warrant further review, staff can bring back an updated recommendation at a subsequent meeting. The property is located on the south side of Gore Road, east of the intersection of Gore Road and Shelley Road. The property is approximately 2.2 hectares in size with a lot frontage of 171 meters into Gore Road. The property consists of a single detached dwelling and a detached garage and private services. Surrounding land uses are agricultural. The property is zoned Z1 agriculture with site-specific exemption 20.1.185 and is designated agricultural and protected countryside in the township official plan. The purpose of the application is to facilitate the construction of a coach house and a single-story accessory building on the eastern portion of the property. The accessory building intended to be a garage will be attached to the coach house. The garage will be approximately 54 square meters in size. The coach house is irregularly shaped and will have a total area of approximately 122 meters, excluding a laundry area of approximately 5.8 meters squared. A basement is also proposed within the coach house to accommodate the necessary mechanical equipment. The building height of the proposed coach house is proposed to exceed the height of the principal dwelling, but will not exceed the maximum permitted coach house height of 6.1 meters. It is supposed to have a building height of approximately 5.4 meters. The principal dwelling unit has a building footprint of approximately 181.2 square meters. The proposed coach house is permitted to be 40% of the size, which is approximately 72.5 square meters, and the owner will be requesting a variance to exceed this size limit. The coach house will be accessed using the existing driveway entrance on Gore Road. The image on the screen is the main floor plan of the proposed development. The following minor variances are being requested. Firstly, section 6.40.7 permits a maximum coach house size of 40% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit a maximum size of 68%. Number 2, section 6.40.8I establishes that the building height of the coach house cannot exceed that of the principal dwelling. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit the coach house to exceed the height of the principal dwelling. Third, the section 6.40.8I establishes that the coach house cannot be closer to the street line than the front wall of the principal dwelling. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit the coach house to be located closer to the street line than the principal dwelling. And lastly, section 6.40.10 establishes that a basement is not permitted in a coach house. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit a basement in the coach house. This image is a panoramic view of the subject property standing at Gore Road at the driveway entrance. Located on the right is the existing dwelling and detached garage. On the left is the location of the proposed development. The image at the top left is the front elevation of the proposed development, and the image in the bottom right is the approximate footprint location of the proposed development. There has been no correspondence received from any members of the public. There have been no concerns received from any competent agencies. As the property is adjacent to CP rail line, CP rail was circulated on the application. CP rail has proximity guidelines for development, which suggests a minimum setback of 30 meters. This proposed development will be set back approximately 60 meters from the rail line. And the building department, comments from the building department include that they will require a professional to confirm the septic is located on stable slopes. And a septic report will be required at the time of building permit application. Planning staff is of the opinion that the requested variances meet the four tests and the minor variances outlined by the Planning Act. One, that the variance is minor in nature. Variances include a 28% increase in size, but the coach house remains within the maximum allowed height. The small setback reductions are reasonable considering the large lot and the existing detached garage already closer to the street. Overall, the changes won't cause any negative impacts and will fit well with the property and surrounding area. Second, that the variance is desirable. The coach house provides additional housing on a large rural lot with no negative impacts on neighbors or the rural character. It offers a practical solution for multi-generational living, and the basement is a functional design choice that houses mechanical equipment without increasing the building footprint. Third, that the variance meets the intent of the bylaw. The coach house remains within the maximum permitted height and will be subordinate to the principal dwelling. Although minor relief is needed for the size and siting, the proposal maintains the overall intent of the zoning bylaw and ensures compatibility with the principal dwelling. And lastly, that the variance meets the intent of the official plan. The proposal supports rural residential use and gentle intensification on a large lot with no impact on farmland or rural character. The proposal aligns with the official plan policies for rural and countryside areas. Planning staff recommend that minor variance application A-10/25 be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Is the applicant here and wish to say anything?
The applicant is here. For the sake of time, I think Christine's done an outstanding job of indicating exactly what we are. Multi-generational process. My wife and I both come from farming backgrounds. And our son, now that we're 70 and approaching 80 in the next decade, will be in that facility in order to assist us in maintaining the property that we're very proud of. So I'd like to say thank you to Christine for her direction and as well as Scott Tilley for his direction as well.
Thank you. And any member of the public wish to speak? Any questions from council? Council Rowland, we have an on this motion for this one. Go for it.
Move myself, by Councilor Rossner, that P report number 44-2025 be received, and that minor variance application A-1025 being a request to permit a coach house for the maximum size of 70% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit, whereas section 6.40.7 of general zoning bylaw 689-83 permits a maximum coach house size of 40% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit. B, a coach house to exceed the building height of principal dwelling, whereas section 6.40.81 of general zoning bylaw 689-83 establishes a building height of a coach house do not exceed the height of the principal dwelling. C, coach house be located closer to the street line in the front wall of the principal dwelling, whereas section 6.40.82 of general zoning bylaw 689-83 does not permit a coach house to be located closer to the street line from the front wall of the principal dwelling. And D, a coach house to have a basement, whereas section 6.40.10 of general zoning bylaw 689-83 does not permit a basement and coach house be approved.
All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Congratulations. There's no correspondence. The adjournment, please, Councilor Austin. I'll have the blanks.
Moved by myself, second by Leader Williams, that pursuant to the Planning Act, the public meeting of committee adjustment be adjourned at 7:34 p.m.
All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Next we have the public meeting and hearings council. No, 8.1.1, report number PB 46/2025, proposed official plan amendment and proposed bylaw amendment for 1128 Life Road, file number OP 0125 and ZC 0325. Notice has been given in accordance with the planning act. The clerk will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the clerk's department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision of the convening of future meetings on this application. There's a sign-in sheet on the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those that wish future notice related to this file. Michael Campbell, manager of planning, will present this application. Michael, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of today's meeting is to present a public information report relating to applications for an official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for the property municipally known as 1128 Rife Road. Subject lands are located at the end of Rife Road, west of Dumfries Road, and south of Highway 401. Property is approximately 21 hectares in area and provides 26.4 meters frontage onto Rife Road. It's currently owned and operated by the Waterloo Region Police Association. And the site includes their head office and a number of recreational facilities, including a banquet hall, restaurant, outdoor pool, sports fields, and surface parking for roughly 600 cars. It also contains a campground with approximately 82 campsites. The lands are privately serviced and fall within the regulated area of the DRCA. They contain significant environmental features, including a woodlot, a provincially significant wetland, Cedar Creek, and related floodplain and valley slopes. Under the township official plan, the lands are designated open space on map 2 and rural area on map 7. And with respect to the zoning, the lands are zoned Z1 agriculture and subject to site-specific exemption 20.1.47, which permits additional uses like a private club, recreational area, camping facilities, and buildings or structures accessory to those uses. I'd also like to point out on this aerial image, the western portion of the property where you can see the environmental features. The heavily treated area and the adjacent campground fall within the proposed protected areas under this application. This next slide shows some photos taken during a recent site visit by planning staff. Photo 1 shows the parking area with the head office and banquet hall visible in the background. Photo 2 is a closer view of the main head office building. Photo 3 shows the internal road that leads to the campground and recreational facilities at the rear of the property. The building in this photo contains washrooms and some storage space. Photo 4 shows an open green area used for recreation. While the baseball diamond is visible in this photo, there are also other facilities on site, including sports fields, basketball court, an outdoor pool, which aren't pictured on this slide. And photo 5 is just an example of the existing campers that are located in the campground area. These photos help illustrate the size and character of the property. And overall, it's quite a large and irregularly shaped lot, much of it consisting of open space. GSP Group, on behalf of the owners of Waterloo Region Police Association, have submitted both an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment for the lands to enable future redevelopment of a portion of the lands for employment uses compatible with the industrial and employment character of the surrounding employment area. Through the province's enactment of Bill 162, the Get It Done Act in 2024, the province modified Regional Official Plan Amendment number 6 to include the subject lands within the boundaries of the regional employment area boundary. Those lands located outside of the natural features situated along the west property limits. With the submission of the Township Official Plan Amendment, the applicant seeks to align the local policy framework with this direction, bringing the Township Official Plan into conformity with the Regional Official Plan policy by redesignating the lands to an employment area designation. As a result, the proposed applications intend to amend the official plan designation from rural area to Highway 401 Regional Road 97 employment area, as well as dry industrial/commercial, while maintaining the southwestern portion of the site as open space to protect identified environmental features. As well, to amend the zoning bylaw by rezoning the lands from Z1 agriculture with site-specific exemption 20.1.47 to the Z9 industrial zone with a site-specific provision and Z12B Environmental Protection 2 zone to reflect the environmental constraints on the southwestern portion of the property. At this time, there is no detailed development concept or site plan prepared for the property. The primary purpose of these applications is to bring the subject lands into alignment with the adjacent Highway 401 Regional Road 97 employment area and to allow for future employment uses consistent with the industrial development already occurring nearby. Any future development would still require additional planning approvals, including site plan approval or potentially plan subdivision or condominium. Those processes would address technical matters like servicing, drainage, environmental protection, and site design. This next slide just shows map 2.27 of the township official plan. The map highlights the existing Highway 401 Regional Road 97 employment area, which is located immediately east and southeast of the subject property. Lands further to the west are also within this employment area. The subject property shown in red on the map is proposed to be brought into this employment area designation through the official plan amendment, consistent with the regional official plan amendment number 6. The southwestern portion of the property, which contains the significant environmental features, will remain outside of the employment area designation to ensure continued protection of those features. And the limits of this environmental area are yet to be defined. So to briefly summarize the applications, the proposed official plan amendment seeks to redesignate the lands from the rural area to highway 497 employment area and dry industrial commercial, which would allow for light industrial uses, including manufacturing, storage and warehousing, servicing and light processing, as well as any accessory office commercial activities. The southwestern part of the property would remain, as I've mentioned, designated as open space to protect the environmental features. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment would rezone the property from the Z1 agricultural zone to a split zoning of the Z9 industrial, with a site-specific provision to recognize the existing lot frontage of 26.4 meters rather than the required minimum of 30 meters. As well as the Z12B Environmental Protection 2 zone, which would apply to the woodlot, the provincially significant wetland, Cedar Creek, and the floodplain and valley slopes, limiting development in those areas to conservation purposes and existing. Notice of this public meeting was circulated to property owners within 120 meters of the subject property, and a notification sign was posted along Rife Road. As of preparing this report, no written comments have been received from members of the public. Any comments received at tonight's public meeting or submitted prior to a future decision meeting will be addressed through a subsequent staff recommendation report. Comments received so far from agencies include the following. The fire department had no comments on the applications, and neither did the engineering and public works department. The Ministry of Transportation had no objections to the applications. However, they note that the property lies within the MTO's permit control area, meaning any future development would require MTO review and permits. Canada Post, Grand Bridge Energy, and the Ministry of Environment Conservation and Parks also had no comments or objections to the applications. And we've received comments from the 6 nations of the Grand River. They've requested a 41-meter buffer from all wetlands within the proposed EP2 lands. And this request will require further discussion and consideration. Any further comments received after tonight's meeting will also be reviewed and addressed in a future recommendation report to council. At this time, staff are recommending that no decision be made on the merits of the applications tonight. Instead, all comments and correspondence received during the consultation process will be returned to staff for further review as we prepare a future recommendation report to council. That report will consider all the comments and correspondence that are received through the consultation process. The proposal's impact on matters of provincial interest, which include promoting efficient development and land use patterns, determining appropriate locations for growth and development, protection of natural heritage and ecological functions, and support for employment growth and economic development. It will also include the further review of the draft zoning bylaw text, mapping schedules, and any site-specific provisions that may be required for future uses. Additional review of the planning justification report by internal departments. Pardon me. Additional review of the planning justification report by internal departments and external agencies, including the Region of Waterloo, GRC, and relevant provincial ministries. Whether the proposal conforms to both the township and regional official plans, including new policies introduced through ROPA 6. Whether the general intent and purpose of the township zoning bylaw are maintained. The potential impacts of the proposal on surrounding properties and land uses. And finally, potential impacts on significant natural heritage features, including the provincially significant wetland, the woodlands, Cedar Creek, and hazard lands on or adjacent to the property. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Is Serena here? Serena like to speak? Welcome. Maybe, yep, looks like it.
Good evening, council. My name is Serena here from GSP Group on behalf of the property owner. I'd like to thank staff for their presentation and for answering questions.
Thank you, Serena. Any questions from the public? Thank you, very good public. Any questions from council? Councilor Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question, I guess, is through to either staff or to the GSP group. I'm just wondering, is this going to be an industrial subdivision or is it being sold as one lot for one facility, or how, is there any sense of what the vision is for this property?
There are currently no development plans for the property at this time.
Seeing no further questions. Let me check the meeting up. Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Wilms?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that report number PD 46 2025 be received, and that all comments or on correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for further consideration in a future report to council on the disposition of this matter.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Now we go back to. That's right. Let's close the motion meeting camera. Councilor Austin, we need the motion to go into close, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly. The council move into closed meeting session at 7:46 PM pursuant to the Municipal Act Section 2392 to discuss 15.1 report number LGL 03-2025 Edworthy West Pitt Ontario Land Tribunal OLT. File number 24-001033 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunal affecting the municipality or local board, Municipal Act Section 2392E, and the advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that person, for that purpose. Municipal Act Section 2392F. And 15.2, report number LGL 04-2025, Gans Pit Expansion Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT. File number OLT 23-000588. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, Municipal Act Section 2392E. And advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, Municipal Act 2392F.
That's good. Thank you. All those in favor? That's carried, thank you.
Couple more seconds, sorry, it's just loading. You're good to go.
Can I have the motion to reconvene into open session, Council Will, please?
Moved by sorry, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Williman, that council reconvene into open session at 8:34 PM.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Having in a closed council received a report and a summary presentation on the present status of matters associated with the Ontario Land Tribunal hearing pertaining to the Edworthy West Pit proposal. A future report to council in camera will occur at a later date on this OLT appeal. And council received a report on summary presentation on the present status of matters associated with the Ontario Land Tribunal hearing pertaining to the CBM aggregate proposal. Also, a future report to council in camera will occur at a later date on this OLT appeal. Oh, it's okay. Confirmatory bylaw.
One more.
Bylaws to adopt.
Right, so we're doing that. Well, not yet. The confirmatory, we never do first and second. Oh, first and second reading, but it's got a confirmatory. We can't get third reading to the confirmatory bylaw before. We haven't given first reading to it.
It's part
We
of,
haven't given first and second yet. Yeah, we have exactly.
No.
Well, we need to get first and second reading to the confirmatory bylaw. Yes, yes, please.
moved by myself and Councilor Rossner that the following bylaw be read a first and second time, bylaw number 3573-25. Being a bylaw is confirmed to proceed to the council on July 7th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And Councilwoman, third reading of the bylaws.
Moved by myself by Councilor Williams that bylaw numbers 3572-25, 3574-25, 3575-25, 3576-25, and 3573-25 be read a third and final time and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And now, Councilor Osmer, the adjournment, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that whereas business before this council meeting has been completed at 8:36 PM. And be it resolved that this meeting adjourned.
All those in favor? I'm checking on you, Councilor. Thank you, gentlemen, that's scary. And ladies.